Welcome to Miller's Monsters, and finally, thanks to Paramount Plus, I have been able to watch the 2022 film Smile. This is the highest grossing horror film worldwide so far this year, and pretty much guaranteed itself a sequel because of that performance. And this was written and directed by Parker Finn, stars Sosie Bacon, Jesse T. Usher. Why do you always walk in front of me when I do this? Kyle Gallner. And as always, there's spoilers ahead, but before we move forward, please take a moment, ring that bell, hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment, share if you will. Back in a minute. Smile follows the story of Dr. Rose Cutter, a psychiatrist at a mental institution. And she herself, we learn in the movie, has a troubling past where she found her mother, what we believe in the beginning, dead on her bed from suicide. And before she leaves the hospital for the day, she takes one last call on one last patient. And this patient is having delusions as she sees somebody, has this heavy feeling that death is upon her, and she's seeing visions of someone telling her she's going to die. And the doctor, tries to convince her that this is all in your mind, and all of a sudden the patient starts screaming, and she's looking at something, and she's terrified, and she's screaming, and backs up against the wall. So Dr. Rose Cutter goes to call for help on the emergency phone, and when she turns around, everything's quiet, and she doesn't see the patient. And when she does, she's just standing there with a terrible smile on her face and just grinning at her ear to ear. And it really is a creepy smile. I can't duplicate it. But it's a bit unnerving. And she has a piece of broken vase in her hand that she broke when she had her vision in therapy there, and scattered against the wall. And proceeds to cut her throat in front of the doctor. Okay, a really gruesome scene to watch in the very beginning there. The special effects are well done. You can't tell that it is fake at all. And shortly after that, she has to give a police statement of what happened, and she goes home and starts to relax, and shortly she starts seeing visions. She returns to the hospital the next day to see one of her patients just smiling at her, and she goes to talk to him, and he's like, "You're gonna die," and of course she freaks out and calls orderlies in to take care of him, but we see he was just laying there in the bed the whole time. So now, since she's seen this suicide by this person and the gruesome smile on the face, we learn in this movie that it's a curse, and it's spread from person to person when they witness the death of this person smiling, that has been possessed by whatever entity is forcing them to do that, and blurs reality and drives them crazy through that. So what we see throughout this part of the film is the blurred line between reality and what's going on in her mind, and she has visions of people watching her and doing the smile at her, and comes to one point where her boss, Cal Penn, who does a scene in the movie, tells her, "Go home, get your head straight, take a paid week off." So now she's at home, and on her way home she decides to buy a train for her nephew's birthday that she wasn't going to go to, because she had to work, but now she doesn't have to work, so now she can go to. And this is she just for some reason decided to do that, and we see an uncomfortable dinner with her sister beforehand, where they haven't really seen eye to eye, and she's pushing her to sell a house that their mother owned, and that's just sitting vacant, and they get an argument there. So there's some tension between the two. So we next see Dr. Rose Cutter, wrapping the gift on the table, and her her fiance comes home, and they talk, and she's like, "Have you seen the cat?" And she has a cat, and they try and find him, can't find him. So come the birthday party, and Rose was not really wanting to go, but she did to show support for her sister. And they're opening gifts, and they open a gift, and opens Rose's gift, and he's just looking at it, and she's like, "Go ahead, what'd you get? Show us." And she's proud because it's this train that she was told he wanted, and he pulls a dead cat out of the box. So obviously everybody freaks out. Rose sees this vision of another person just smiling at her wickedly, and she has a nervous breakdown and falls through a table. And so again, this shows the blurred line between reality and her visions, and she has no idea how the cat got in there, but it's pretty, you can imagine the trauma that this puts on someone, especially a young kid. So she's pretty much blackballed from her sister's house after that. And so now she's going down this road deeper and deeper. She keeps seeing these visions, and tries to make sense of it, and she begins researching it, and learns that the person that committed suicide in front of her witnessed a suicide. So she goes to that person, and she learns that he had seen a suicide. And also, she has a fiance. Not a fiance, I'm sorry. She has a fiance, but not that fiance. She has an ex-boyfriend that's a cop, okay, that was involved in the initial investigation of the suicide she saw. And so at one point she goes to him because she can't make sense of it. She's at wit's end. She doesn't know what to do, and they research back and back and back, and it's 20 of these instances where someone witnessed a suicide, that the guy was smiling, or the girl, and ended up killing themselves within a week later. So now she's like, oh, this is my fourth day, and they're wondering what to do, and they find out there's only been one survivor out of the 20 people that has been able to beat this curse, and they go visit him in jail. And he thinks she's there asking about a friend, and she's asking him questions. How did he break the curse? And he tells her, I broke the curse because I killed somebody with a witness there. So it's kind of like a final destination. You change the course of death, okay, in this, by killing someone, but the important part is having a witness there. So now she knows how to get out of this curse, and the dilemma is, what do you do when you're in this situation? You're cursed, you're going to die. 19 people before you have died after seeing this, and but a way out, but it means taking someone's life in doing so, and then condemning the witness to death as well to save yourself. And obviously it wasn't really a contemplation for her at first, but as the days go by and the visions get more and more blurred, she has goes to visit her sister, trying to make amends, and they get in a fight about her mother and how the sister was never there, and she had to discover her mother committed suicide on the bed. And and so on. And as she's going to leave there, she sees her sister walk up to the car, and this is a great body horror part where and you've seen it if you've seen the trailers. It's been in all the trailers where the sister somehow contorts herself so her head is upside down in front of the car window with that creepy smile on their face, on her face, not their face, only one person. And this was again another vision. Now terrified and wondering what to do, she contemplates, the way out, and ends up taking a knife to the hospital. And we see her get into the hospital and finds the gentleman that, had told her she was going to die. And he, walks up to him, takes the knife, and I'm sorry, didn't take the knife yet. Cal Penn walks in and sees what's going on. He's like, Rose, get away from him. Rose, get away from him. He pulls out the knife, or she pulls out the knife, excuse me, and starts stabbing the patient over and over and over and over again. He has this maniacal smile, blood pouring out of his mouth, and Cal Penn is the witness there. So you think, okay, she's done it, and in such a public area, but if there's no witness, because Cal Penn will end up killing himself because now he's inherited the curse, there's a chance she might get out of it, but it doesn't look good. But then we see her, then all of a sudden the shots of her in the car, and she's had another a vision of her doing this, but she didn't really do it. And she comes to the realization is that she just has to get away from everybody. And at that time, Cal Penn comes out again, sees the knife in her car, and now he's worried that she's going to commit suicide, a danger to herself. She takes off and heads to the abandoned house of her mother. And of course, Cal Penn calls the police. Her ex-boyfriend calls her. He tries to talk to her, says, hey, where you're at, I'll come see you. And she just hangs up and puts the phone in her car. So now we get to the abandoned house, and she walks in and she's going to confront, her demon or the entity. And so she locks everything in, gets the light, and all of a sudden the entity appears, and it's a 10-foot horrific vision of herself. You can see it's her features in the face, but it's like a burned body, and it's huge, 10 foot tall. Starts chasing her through the house, and then she sets it on fire, and sets the house on fire, leaves the house, and the house burns down, with the entity in it. And so again, we think it's over, but then we hear somebody calling her name, which is the ex-cop, the ex-boyfriend of the cop. And all of a sudden we flash back, and nothing's really happened. She's just entering the house again, and she looks at him, and knowing now that if he sees her, he's going to be caught up in the curse as well. And obviously he found her, because all of us know from watching the crime stories or true crime stories that they can pretty much pinpoint your location through your cell phone. And so she goes running in the house, and the demon or entity, demon, whatever you want to call it, confronts her again, and pretty much at this point has warped her mind and puts her in a psychosis. And then you see him trying to crawl into this 10-foot figure, trying to crawl into her mouth at the end there. And it's kind of like me, what I'm going to do to the turkey tomorrow. I'm going to inhale the thing, and it'll be carnage, and that's what this was. So the entity enters her and takes over her mind, and the next sight we see is the boyfriend coming in, and sees her there, and she turns to look at him, and she has the maniacal smile on his face. And I won't tell you how she did it, but she commits suicide, and that's how the movie ends. So we can infer that the boyfriend is now cursed and will be the next one that'll be driven crazy by this entity. And you know, it really is a great movie. It kept me on my toes the whole time. I enjoyed it immensely. The acting is great. Special effects are great. There's some nice gruesome scenes in there, you know, from the neck cutting, and then there's some as they're investigating the suicides. You know, there's a picture of the one guy that beat himself to death with a hammer, and his face is all mangled, his tongue's hanging here, half his jaw's hanging here. So, you know, for you gore hounds out there, there's plenty in there, and there's a view of somebody they do in the police blotter as they're investigating somebody killing himself with a pair of garden shears. And you know, the main part of that is when they zoom in on it, is they see the smile on his face, and that helps them put 2 to 2 together. It's done great at the theaters. I mentioned earlier, over 200 million. Pretty much, I would bet at my house that there will be a sequel, because I think it would make at least 100 million based on what they sold this time. And just out of curiosity to see what they do, I think it'd be a lock to do so. So if you haven't seen it, go see it on Paramount Plus. I think it's a solid 4 out of 5 and a must-see. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the like, share this with your friends, leave a comment, and I will talk to you later.